Our second process option is what we refer to as the intentional interim. Because we have multiple transitions here, our signposts play out in a few different ways. First over here we have our Pishka, and at this point our formal team is engaged, and you'll see they're actually engaged for the first time. Here we begin our formal transition where we celebrate the ministry of the retiring leader. And here we begin our first replacement planning strategy, but this one isn't a replacement planning strategy for the eventual successor. This is where we begin to identify who the interim leader is going to be. Towards the end of that interim time frame, the formal team again re-engages their plan, their strategy. They reevaluate anything that's been accomplished or discovered during their intentional interim time frame. We then begin to remember and celebrate where we have been in our church's history, and we begin this formal process of identifying who the potential successor is going to be. And then once that potential successor is identified, then the transition plan to bring them on board is implemented. And like in the previous one, our formal team here has responsibility to help the organization establish continuity. And this is how this plays out. At the beginning of the intentional interim time frame here, the church or ministry would begin to get an established sense of who they are, where they have been, what their current resources available to them are, and begin to think about some things pertaining to their future. Towards the end of that, or even during this process, they begin to bring a sense of stability back to the organization for whatever reason is driving the interim process. And then here we have we're taking the people down the very specific process of understanding what needs to be happening during this season of transition, but also not forgetting to also help them remember and stay focused that the ministry of the church is there to specifically advance the gospel in some way. So make sure that we're planning those two tracks as well.